Hello, everyone. Jenny Camille here, and I just wanted to hop on real quick before the normal introduction to let you know that this is a little delayed. A lot of it centers around my birthday time and Halloween, and so I just wanted to give you a heads up that I've had a lot of trepidation and kind of nervousness with putting this out. It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff that's come out in therapy and a lot of good stuff that I did want to share, but I just have been nervous about it. So, yeah, that's where it's at. So that's the reason why a lot of the stuff at the beginning talks about my birthday and all of that. But the second half was done more recent, and so it'll make more sense then. But just wanted to let you know before we get into it. Thank you so much, and here we go. This is the Heavy Boots Podcast, the place to feel all your feelings. Today is a special edition. It is unpacking some of those heavy bits from those boots. I am turning 43 on October 31st, and I want to let go of some things once and for all. So let's get into it. Welcome to Heavy Boots. Jenny Camille here. Hope all is well in your world. Today we're going to be just talking about what I've been carrying. So it's going to be a little bit heavy. Just wanted to give some warnings on that. There may be some triggers in here. I had a therapy session today, and just to be real with you, I've been wanting to get this stuff out into the world for quite a long time. I've been carrying a lot of demons and, just a lot of blame and shame that's not always mine. And I don't know, I was chickening out. I wrote this all out and I was going to do a podcast and say it all. And then I was going to go and take this, wrap it up and put it into a bottle and throw it in the ocean and just release it, be done with it. And then I was chickening out. I was like, it's a hard pill to swallow. It's a lot. And it makes me come face to face with stuff. But I had therapy this morning and it was all bubbled up. Like it all came up to the surface and we weren't going to talk about any of it. And so I didn't address it and it just came up. So what that told me was just hop on here and just do it. Do the hard thing. And the reason I want to say it all is because my brother always talks about the light. And I'm always dealing with light too. I love light. Always have hope and look for the light. But my brother, his thing is when you shine light on something, that it can't live in the shadows anymore. And when things live in the shadows, that's where shame comes in, and that's where it gets dark and where it can get ugly and you can feel hopeless, and it just lives there and festers and grows and it gets dark. So I don't want that anymore. And it's been happening for 20 plus years, and even more. There's things that I hold on to and think about and really pain me that I don't need to hold on to anymore. That was the people that did the things too. They were different versions of themselves than they are now, So like we're all grown and yeah, I just want to release some of this baggage, release some of the stuff so that I can move through life a little bit less heavy, and that's the thing is I always, discredit my sensitivity and I call myself weak or this or that, and it's not my narrative. It's stuff that's been said throughout my childhood, throughout my adulthood, that isn't valid. And I think the more you shine the light on the, invalid pieces, they go away and you can grab onto what's real. And the sensitivity is my gift, because sensitivity, though it's hard at times and though there are ways I have to navigate and things I need to work on, it's a really great thing to be able to be feeling and to see things in the world and feel, and to allow for that. It's not a bad thing, and it creates a lot of good things. But when you're told that, you cry too much, or, you're playing a victim or whatever, there's these little things that just get put into your head that you're awful, and that, when you're young enough to hear these things, you don't have the foundation built to withstand that, that just gets put in as part of your brick and mortar. I just thought of that. That's kind of funny. It is true. You're building yourself up when you're a kid to an adult. You're building up who you are. And if someone throws you a brick that says you're worthless, it gets put in there, especially by, a builder that you respect. But by someone you respect or, care about, that those messages just get folded into your foundation. And so honestly, you have to excavate and rebuild. And so that's kind of where this is going. Is I was writing myself, when I was a little girl, I was thinking of myself as new, and what would I want her to know? And it was a really good exercise. It was very, very difficult. But I just started writing what I hoped for her. And it was very personal, though. It was all the things that I'd gone through that I wish wouldn't have, that I wish I wouldn't have gone through. But honestly, I'm glad that I did. Some of this stuff is hard and it's icky, but I wouldn't have what am I trying to say? I wouldn't have my spidey senses, my knowing what's good or bad without having gone through what was bad. So, and there's some bad choices I've made. There's some people I trusted that ended up really hurting me. And I always blame myself, because if I would have just seen the signs, or if I would have whatever. And today my therapist was so kind, and she said, you didn't know when you were 19 or 20 not to trust. You had to go through that to now learn that you have to be more selective about who you trust, And so you just operate by what information you have at the time. And that's really been helpful today. I had some big tears. I had to record this like 50 times. But what I plan on doing is just reading you the exercise. It came out in a poem, basically, because that's how all my stuff comes out. But it's just like, I hope, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's very deep. It gets kind of hard in some moments. So I just want to make sure everybody is prepared. It's a heavy bit, but hopefully not horribly heavy. It's life, and life is heavy. And I think heavy boots is such a great thing, because I don't know, it's been really helpful for me to have this podcast and to come on and share bits, but I've never shared all of this. And I think by doing so, I can lighten up some of that and kind of move through the world better, because I've been kind of stuck, and a lot of things that you go through re-trigger other things, or like today, I started talking about stuff that I've never told anybody Like anybody. My mom knows. But that's it. Like I haven't told anybody this stuff. None of my therapists, anybody, because it's shame. It's hard. And I don't want it to live there anymore. I don't want it to fester. I want it to be out and open and to move on. So I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to put it in a bottle. And this weekend, I'm going to go on a trip for my birthday. I'm going to a concert. So I'm recording this on Thursday, October 26th, I think. Yeah. Because I had therapy today, and I want to just keep in this vein of, sharing the hard bits. I'm open right now. And so I was like, just hop on here and read the stuff that you wrote. And then I'm going to take it with me and get it into a bottle and throw it in the ocean. Hopefully a bottle that, won't harm the environment. Or something. I'm going to do something. Maybe bury it in the sand. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I want to do something symbolic and dramatic because that's another thing I've always been labeled. And whatever. I have feelings and I share them. I think we all get dramatic about certain things, like whatever's passionate for you, then you put a lot into it. And so that's all I'm doing. But anyways, and then I'm just doing an overnight trip to LA. I get to see my brother, which I'm so excited about. I'm also nervous because I haven't seen him since pre-pandemic, and I've gained so much weight. Ugh, I know, a broken record here, but that was another topic in therapy today, and it's nothing that I actually feel about myself. There's nothing wrong with me in my weight. I want to be healthier, and I'll move towards that. But there's just so many things that are built up in my mind that aren't me. And so I just got to untangle that. And so that, that's part of this exercise. But my brother loves me. He doesn't care what I look like. And I know it's going to be amazing to see him. And so I get emotional about it because he doesn't care. He's just it's not him saying anything. It's he's Mr. Gorgeous fitness guy who is so good, epitome of health. If you look at him, he's just gorgeous. And so I compare, and that's my problem. And, that's why I'm going to still go see my brother and not feel bad. I'm going to feel so good to see his face and his smile and hug him. So anyways, that's a very exciting birthday present. And then when I get back here, I'm going to have a couple days before my actual birthday. And I'll come back on here and I'll tell you how it felt to let this go. And we'll kind of recap the weekend and I'll post this on my birthday. So that's kind of how this is going to go. So thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. And just know this is a lot of hard bits. And it's just what I know to be my truth. So I don't ever discount anyone else's truths, perspectives. I'm just coming from mine. And that's what I hope is that everyone will just respect that this is what I know my truth to be, what I've been through. And I'm allowed it. There's been so many times I have discounted my truth and I'm done. So here it is. I hope you never have to realize that they're not being funny when they are babysitting you and then ask you for money. I hope you are never told you are incapable when you are 8 years old and want to figure out the tip at a restaurant table. I hope no one tries to break your innocence by kissing you when they are 15 and you are just a little kid. I hope you do not just go along when you know that something feels kind of wrong. I hope you can be less of a chameleon fitting in and that hurtful words don't burrow in your skin. I hope it doesn't feel like you have to choose between your father and your mother when one day they stop choosing each other. I hope you have the sense not to hand over the keys when asked, "Can't I just drive across the street?" I hope you do not obsess over unreciprocated love. You deserve someone who thinks that you are enough. I hope you say no over and over and over again, instead of giving up and giving in. I hope that if you really like a boy younger than you will listen to your heart, not to what others tell you to do. I hope your privacy is respected and no one opens your mail and uses you as an example of how to fail. I hope you find and cherish your real first love affair. For me, that redheaded boy still shows up in bits and pieces everywhere. And when you fall deep again, I hope you do not lose yourself in him. Let him go when he leaves instead of making yourself sick. I hope that you know, in love, being charismatic is not all there is to it. I hope you know that mistakes are not just yours to make, that those who act like they have never made any are being fake. May you not be groomed by letters with a carrot dangling of maybe we could be together. Even if he is respected, older, and seemingly has the upper hand, I hope you do not sacrifice your comfort for any man. I hope that when you try to bring bits of it all to light, they do not chuckle at the notion he even had you in his sights. I hope you are never made to feel out of anyone's league. I hope the burden of his mind games does not take your heart off your sleeve. I hope you do not lose sleep over blame that is not yours. When you know better, you do better. Sometimes you just choose the wrong door. I hope you have the nerve to confront the ache of a lifelong bond that you never thought would break. I hope you do not take it to heart when they reference the real cousins, even though you have known them since you were just a bun in the oven. I hope you fight for the friendships that matter to you, realizing that there can be two perspectives and two truths. I hope you are not judgmental when a friend makes a choice you do not agree with. I hope you can be supportive and instead of running, lean in. May you deal with emotions before they take you down and accept that some lost things cannot be found. I hope you do not stoop to their level when they start an email war. Be the bigger person. You do not always have to settle the score. I hope you stop believing the critical outside voices. Sometimes they just are not reliable sources. May you light a fire within that nobody else can dim. These pains that surface in therapy, tied up inside my memory, you think you let things go, and instead, some just steal your glow. The things you have done, the things done to you, hard to overcome the shame of sometimes tying yourself to blame. That is not all yours. Bad things just occur. Seemingly angelic light can turn out to be glare, blocking some of your sight so you don't see all the red flags there. I have hurt others, and I find it hard to forgive myself. I have been hurt, and still I do not let it lie with someone else. If I wasn't so eager, or if I was smarter, I would have seen. If I was less meager, or if I could have just kept some cards up my sleeve. These are the things that I say to myself to protect the blame from being on anybody else. But my sensitivity is something to be grateful for. I will not see it as a burden anymore. Time to treat myself more fairly. Way too much in these heavy boots to carry. For my 43rd birthday, my present to me is to acknowledge all these past things, accept how everything came to be, and then allow my slate to be wiped clean. Reading it now, just all summed up like that, it doesn't seem like that much. There were a few tears here and there, but I think I'm ready to let it go. I don't think it's so big that I can't let it go. So, yeah. I've been feeling very sad, just to be honest. I've been feeling a lot of memories come up, a lot of bad dreams, a lot of flashes of things that I allowed and did that I wasn't comfortable with. And, that I didn't say no to as loudly as I should have. And I figured out, too, that I think I may have alluded to this a little bit in the past, that a lot of my weight problems is because I'm protecting myself. The person that I used to be, that got the attention, that gave me trauma with men, I want to cover that person up. And so that's something else I came to find in therapy today, is that when you just start spouting out stuff, it all connects, the dots connect. And it's just crazy because I'm in a great relationship. I have a really supportive person, and I want to be the best person for him. And there's so much that is, like hurdles within me that don't allow for my best self. And I need to work on that more. I just was asking my therapist about, why this could resurface and cause me so much pain when I feel like I've healed up a lot, especially I'm in a good relationship, and she just said there's no timeline to any of these things. And like, I didn't talk about it with anyone. I mean, really. And there's more than one thing. Unfortunately, there's a few things, when I went to prom, I made a bad choice I hate to say it, but it was the wrong choice. I didn't go with my friends. Instead, I went with this guy, and then he tried to take advantage of me, And I felt like that was karma because I didn't do right by my friends, And so I deserved what I got. And it was not fun, and it was horrible, and I didn't deserve what I got, you know what I mean? That's just not what, yeah. And then, later in life, there was just so many things where I was just trying to feel good enough. And that's the stem of it all, is like my unworthiness and not feeling good enough is a big piece that keeps coming back. And, I chose people, luckily, and I know this is my very first love affair was a very good experience, of course, never fun to break up. And I honestly, though, with that certain relationship, all I see are the good things. And so to me, it just didn't work out, and that's fine. Like, I loved what we had and what, the moments and everything. All those memories are with me and in a really good light. And I think that's why he always comes up, because it's just easier to talk about because it's a good thing. That was a good experience. And so it's just a bummer to me that I didn't realize, when you're so young, you don't realize, well, that's how it should look. You know what I mean? Like, because honestly, I felt respected, and, there was just a different tangible thing to that. And it was mostly good memories. And so, honestly, I can't, the bad stuff is gone now, like I can't even, I don't know. I'd probably read my diary and I could go back, but who wants to do that? Like, yeah. Hello, crows. There's crows crowing. Sorry about the noise. But anyways, all I'm just trying to say is that I don't want to slump everything together, because that particular relationship was a great one. And it was a good starter. And then for some reason I went backwards, I just went backwards into trying to find people that just would tell me I'm enough. And then I kept finding people that would either pretend or just, I don't know. There was always something I was lacking. Yeah, because if you don't want to spend your time with someone, I don't know. Anyways, too much hypothetical crap, but basically it's just a lot of seeking approval, and doing things. I had a really fun relationship when I moved up here to where I am at now, and then I found out that the guy was married, and that's taking me, I'm still not over that, really. We had so much fun. It was just fun. It wasn't I don't know. But there's no freaking way that I would ever be with someone who's married. You know who I am, most of you. And so that was fun call to get. She called me when I was at Walmart working and told me that he was married. And that's not what I was told. So, so you have to go with what you know is true. And that's not what I knew. And as soon as I knew the truth, that was done, And so it's just those types of things. And it's really hard to say that out loud, because you're people are going to think I'm a horrible homewrecker and, oh my God, what did she do? And it's there's two people to every story, and I didn't get half of the story. And as soon as the story was made known to me, I was out of there, And then there's other stories where, I don't know, just felt like I was groomed by someone else who I admired and respected and was older than me. And as soon as you start unraveling, as soon as the years pass by and you start getting pieces of what the real story was, and then they're yeah, I cringe a lot. I cringe a lot. And the things that you do to make someone like you, and I just have to be honest about it. I did a lot of things that I wouldn't have done if I was listening completely to my gut. And, some people will say that, well, you consented, you're an old enough adult and you consented. And that's completely true. But I also feel that in the heat of things, pressure can happen or whatever. And I know how that sounds. There's so many people that would be like, oh, well, you just regret it now, whatever. And I don't want to go too much into it, but it's just the wording and the way. And there are things that are very gray, and people want it all black and white, and that's fine. But my truth is that it was a very long period of thinking that something was not what it was. Oh. Yeah, so there's just a lot of little things, and then being taken in a car 30 miles from where they said they were going to take you, and you're scared out of your mind. You don't know what's going on, and then having someone try and do things to you. And it was a friend of a friend, and they set you up on this date, and you go because you're trying to get over all this other stuff, and it's no good. It's just even worse, so scary. And you make it out of there, and then you lie to your family because you don't want them to go and punish that person, even though they deserved it. That was a hard one, too. because that was really shortly after all this stuff. And, it's just like, it's just little choices you make to not have conflict when inside you're dying. So I want to be done with that. I want to be done with not respecting myself, with the dying inside, with the bottling it up. These are all things that happened to me. And, when you bring them up, some people, just don't want to believe stuff about other people. And that's fine, but it's the truth. And the hardest thing too is when you're hurting from something and you try and share a little bit about it, and then not only do they, you can't even get into the meat of everything, because as soon as you start talking about this person, they just can't believe that you're in the same league, that he would ever look at you, that he would ever want to be with you. What? Okay. And it's like, okay, well, if you're not going to believe that, then you sure as hell aren't going to believe what I'm about to say. You know what I mean? So you just don't say anything. And that's tough, man, to carry all that and then try and avoid seeing the person again and trying to make it all, it's so hard. And then, seeing them again and conversing and trying to be fine when you just go home and cry. It's just the truth of life. But there's balance. There's always balance. And so what I'm trying to get to is that balance. I haven't had balance. And that's what I want to do, is to get more to a place of realizing all the good bits. And so, there's good stuff out there that I have experienced and now have. And I just want to be able to let all this go so that I can, be the best person that I can be. I'm not yet, but grow towards a better person and not shame myself for all these things that weren't all my fault. So I hope this helps. Like, all I'm trying to do is to share so you could see, like, if you have to carry stuff like this, it's better to unpack it, and to put it in the light, to not shame yourself. And just to know that other people are carrying stuff like this, like, not that you want them to, but just so you're not alone if you do, and you don't have to share. Like, that's the other thing. If you're not ready to share, don't share. If you don't ever want to share, don't share. It's not like, oh, do this because I did it. It's just, this is what I felt like I needed to do, because it's so much stuff that makes me sick at night, and I don't want it to own me anymore, because it's not theirs. It's me. I'm not a piece of meat. I'm a person, and I deserved better, and I'm going to demand that for myself from now on, because when you know better, you do better. So here's to letting go of some of that pain. I know it won't instantly go away, but I'm going to drop this into the ocean or bury it in the sand and let it fly away. And we shall see what this next year holds. A lot more intention of self-respect and self-consideration. I realized today that the word respect has a lot to do with outside things. So like merit, or like, I can't remember. I read the definition. My therapist, she was like, what's the definition of respect? Do you have your phone? And I was like, okay. So I looked it up. Let me see. And it said, a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements. And so I've been thinking that I want to respect myself more and blah, blah, blah. And honestly, elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements, to me, that's outside stuff, you know? And I just want to be considered and worthy just as I am without having to earn respect. Look what I did for you. Look what, and because for me, when I think of the word respect, I just think of giving it to everyone until I'm given a reason not to. You know what I mean? And it takes a lot to kill respect for me. I think that everyone, and that's what I'm trying to come to grips with is, am I thinking of respect as something different? Because for me, it's just like a blanket acknowledgement that you're human and that, I'm going to respect your boundaries, I don't know what I'm trying to say. But you know what I mean? It's just like, to me, respect is just like this layer of goodness, just at allowing you to be who you are, and so now I'm thinking that might just be considerate. I don't know, because the abilities, qualities, or achievements, anything outside of myself, that's not what I'm looking at for respect. I want to respect myself at the most primal level, as just being a human. I just want to be okay with my worthiness of love, and I don't need to earn it. I don't think any of us need to earn it. I don't know. I think that that's where we get all caught up in this man-made world of if you don't do this, that, and the other, then you're not worthy. And it's the stars align to drop a star from the sky into your mother's belly and create you. So you're worthy as soon as you come out. And we're worthy when we're little kids. Everyone is just so concerned about our well-being. And then as soon as we grow up, it's oh, well, now you have choice, so you suck. And it's no. So anyways, I just think I need to start considering myself more. I think respecting, I don't know. I just need to, consider what all this stuff in my head is doing to myself. Because we can just let it sit back there and fester and come up now and then. But to all this therapy for the last year, all this work, it's really come to a place of excavation, because there are bricks in my foundation that are making my building unstable. And a lot of the time, all this seems super selfish and super self-centered, and I'm missing life because I'm so focused on all of this. And the thing is I'm not, because it is what it is. And so I cannot sit and feel bad for what I need to do for myself in these moments. And yeah, life passes you by and what have you, but there's some reason that I'm enlightened to do so. And so I have to follow the path, and then I have to follow the cues of my body, because that is what I think is the saddest part, is that all of my life I have not listened to the cues of my body. I have not listened to my gut telling me when I'm, in harm's way, or, speak up or just leave, or whatever. The things that I really have wanted to do in certain instances, I have allowed, myself to squash out my own voice, to squash out those red flags, squash out that in hopes of being liked. And that's really what it comes down to. And it's so excruciating to say that out loud, because it sounds so simple and stupid. You just want to be liked? How dumb. And you let that happen to you? Those are the things that go on in my head. And so that's what I'm working on. But yes, from a young age, I had to make everything okay. Or I felt like I did. I felt like I had to check on the family, you know, because there were things. There was hard times and lots of fighting and lots of stuff. And when you're a little kid, you just want to make everything okay. And then sometimes what that meant is just for me to go in my room and hide away so that it'd be okay. So anyways, sorry, so light. Heavy stuff, but I'm just untangling, unraveling why I am who I am, you know, with the help of some great therapists. And as you do that, it's hard and it hurts. And that's why a lot of people don't do it, you know, and it's okay. Like, I totally get it. Like, if I hadn't started this, I probably wouldn't, knowing what I know now, like, to be honest with you, because it hurts more than it helps sometimes, but it helps. It does help. And once you start down this path, you have to kind of keep going, because if you don't unravel it all the way, you just kind of get stuck in that hurt place. Because I've done that too, where I've done therapy and then I stop. And then you're just sitting with all those open wounds, you know, just staring at them. So for me now, the only way out is through. And that's what I'm doing. So I don't know. I hope this helps. I hope it isn't just cathartic for me. I hope it's cathartic for others. I hope that it gives you a voice if you want one, you know. And I hope it just encourages you to be kind to yourself. I think that's the biggest thing I've learned, is that I'm really awful to myself. Horrible to myself. For a host of reasons. And there's many that is undeserving. I shouldn't be that way to myself. So I'm taking out the bricks, those mean bricks in my foundation. That just got laid there on accident. I'm getting them gone. And I have to rebuild. And so it's just taking a lot longer than I expected. And because there's always, you know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So, you know, just know that whatever you choose to do, it comes and goes, ebbs and flows. So it's never just a steady progression upward. You fall back down, you have to push back up, and it's worth it. So, all right. So I will be back. We're going to have a break here. Maybe I'll add some music. Have a little a break, music break. Maybe meditate. Hey, let's do that. Just like a 2-minute meditation to some pretty music. I'm going to put the whole track in the middle. I love this track. And just think about how amazing you are. Like, list all your attributes, all your amazingness. Please listen to the music, listen, and just make a list in your mind of everything that is good about you, please, and hold it there, because there's no one like you and you are amazing. All right? So we're going to take a break, and then when I come back, it'll be next week, and I'll tell you about my weekend. Now go love yourself. Okay. Love you. I hope you enjoyed that meditation. I hope that you feel rejuvenated and just feel more like yourself. That's the thing that I've been working on a lot lately, is just understanding that I'm valid. And I know when I say that, people think I'm crazy because, we do a lot of things on social media and a lot of things in life where it seems like we are putting our voice out there, so we must think we're valid and that people are going to want to hear it. But I don't. I have a lot of struggles with feeling worthy or feeling like my story is even valid or that it matters. There's been a lot of gaslighting in my past that I didn't even recognize until you start putting the pieces together in therapy. And, that's the one thing that you want to make sure you don't do is gaslight yourself, Like, what can happen is that the stories that get told over and over and over and over and over and over and over again can wipe away your story and what you remember and how you felt. And, a lot of the time it's no fault to anyone else. It's just that they're the louder voice. And so you start to question everything that you remember and everything that you went through. And so that's why I just encourage you to love yourself and to really love all the pieces of your story, and own it, and don't let someone tell you that you're wrong, And the thing about it is you don't have to tell them they're wrong either. I think that that's the other part that is so important, is that we're all right, But the only trepidation I have in that is that you don't let them be so right that you're wrong. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying, is we all have our perspectives. We all saw it a certain way. We all were dealing in our own pain and our own stuff. And so just because someone else sees it different doesn't mean you're wrong. And that's what I do a lot of the time, is that I take someone else's truth, and I slap it over mine, and then I discount everything that I felt. And so then there's a lot of stuff that gets buried and a lot of stuff that gets hard. And that's what therapy is helping me with, excavating all of this and like I said before, creating a new foundation to build the life that I want, and to build the life that I know. There's just so much that I've allowed to be silenced or shameful or, make myself feel bad about, that I didn't always need to take that responsibility. I didn't do anything wrong a lot of the time. And I mean, most of us, if you're trying to be a good person, you're not doing anything wrong. And that's somewhere to get to as well. It's yeah, there's mistakes that we make and there's hurting people that you don't want to hurt. But in the long run, if you wake up every morning and from this point on in your life, you're trying to be a good person, even if you did something horrible back 20 years ago, there's redemption. There's turning over a new leaf. There's all these sayings that we have, but a lot of humans will tell you that they believe in that, but then they'll go and judge you for something you did 20 years ago, or forget that they've done the same thing. And that's where I get really sad, is the finger pointing and the judgments. I've been having a lot of conversations lately. There's a lot of stuff going on family-wise, and it's just, I always feel reactive, because if you really think about, or I should say, when I really think about what we like to do as a family, what we like to settle into is playing games or talking about upcoming plans or planning stuff, or, talking about music and movies and TV shows, it's we talk about life. And a lot of the conversations for the last couple years have been about people. And I was feeling very hypocritical on that because it's like, oh, we're talking about other people. And then I started to examine that, and it's very reactive. It's because other people have been really hard on us. And I say, I don't want to go into it all, but it's just collectively, there's been a lot of judgment. And, yeah. And when you put up a boundary, that happens a lot too. When you set a boundary and you say, I'm not going to be treated in a certain way, or I'm not going to let someone, do this, that, or the other, they think it's a character assassination when you're just actually saying what you need. And so, there's a lot of words that can come back at you that make you feel like you're being a villain. You're the one that's creating all the hostility and everything. But the biggest thing is when you're pinpointing people's actions and you're not claiming that they're anything but themselves. You're not claiming that they're, these horrible words that have been thrown around like loser, alcoholic, drama person, instigator. I don't know. There's so many hateful words that get labeled to certain members, of my family and myself. And we don't label anybody. We're not like, when we sit down to have discussions or to talk, it's like just about life and not about people. And we have been talking about people more lately, and that's why I investigate, because I'm like, I don't like these conversations. They make me feel icky. And it was reactive. It's you start to think about all the things that other people have done because they're pointing out all the things that you have done. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all, because we're right here in this moment. And, some of the stuff that I just bared my soul about are things that really hurt me. And that's why I want to let them go. And that's what I think is the problem in a lot of relationships, is that you say you're going to start over. And then, 2 years later, there's a conversation where you're telling me how crappy I am, And I don't think that anyone is warranted to tell you how crappy you are, because we're not crappy. We're doing the best we can. And yeah, and I just feel like there's new standards that I'm developing, and there's just new ways to be with people that have said really horrible things. And that's the other thing, is the cleanup, There's not an apology. There's not even acknowledging. And then we're just all supposed to get together, It doesn't work. There's no accountability or responsibility on one end, but then I'm supposed to have all of it on this end, or with other family members that feel that they have to have all the accountability and responsibility. And yet, if they say their needs, then they're wrong. And that's just not right. And I'm growing older. I'm growing tired. I'm growing really tired. Like, I talk about this a lot. I'm really tired because I am empathic. And so I'm always looking in the room to see who needs the energy. And I'm just not getting enough of it back, Like, just not. There's certain ones that just fuel and don't take. And that's what I try and be. And unfortunately, I haven't surrounded myself with enough of those. Luckily, I got to go visit a friend recently. And it was just, I came back with my batteries charged. And I felt like Marilyn Monroe. Like, I felt so beautiful. They were so kind and, complimentary. And like, I don't need compliments or what have you, but it was nice. It was, I don't know. I just came back feeling really beautiful, feeling really strong. And, and then the balloon gets a little deflated, when other people will say this or that. And that's the thing, is I don't want my balloon to be deflated by anyone for any reason. Like, I need to have a full balloon on my own. And, Yeah, so that's what this is about. It's about like just starting fresh in a way that I can actually let all that go. Like I do have those things that you kind of hold these there, these hurts. And you don't realize you're doing it, but they can really become little hurdles, and you can't get running fast down your path if you have a bunch of hurdles, and a bunch of feelings of unworthiness. And most of these things, people did when they were a different version of themselves. So it's not fair to hold them to that anymore. And the other thing is it's hypocrisy. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to be, one of these people that I'm talking about that have really hurt my feelings because I'm holding on to all this stuff, because they've held on to a bunch of stuff that they throw back as ammunition, and it's just not, it's not a good relationship or I just don't think it's a good human to hold on to all the judgmental things about someone. And I feel like I have so much stored from hurts because I'm just a heavy boots person, and I just lock it away, and I'm like, ouch, that hurt. And, I think that I don't want to have heavy boots anymore. Really. Like I want to have room to put other stuff that is really important, and hold on to it and, walk through it. And, I don't want to talk about it, but there's going to be some heavy times probably soon with family members, hopefully not soon, but passing away. And, there's just a lot I'm going to have to carry, you know what I mean? And I see, things getting a little darker. And I want to be so full of light so I can handle it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at and what I was thinking of when I wanted to just bare my soul. Just tell you everything that I've had, kept attached to me that really hurt, and I just don't want it anymore. It doesn't do any service to me. It doesn't erase the experience and my knowledge of what I, need to navigate the world and to be safe and keep myself safe. And I've actually learned a lot through it all that I want to hold on to. And so I do feel you can let go. You know how they say forgive and forget? I think it's easier to forget than it is to forgive. And my thing with the forgiving part is I'm trying to remember that those people aren't who they are now. And, whoever really hurt me, I'm just going to try and believe that they didn't mean to, or that they were just a younger version without the wise, wisdom of getting older. So it's hard though. The forgiving part to me is going to be a little harder. Because now that you go through it and you kind of take stock, you kind of get mad. I've had a lot of anger lately, and my therapist says that's just part of the stages, you just go through them. So I'm just going through it, you guys. I'm just doing all the work, and I used to have shame in that too, like not shame, but like feel weird because I go to therapy so much and I do all these classes, and I just need to start owning everything that matters to me. And I think, by letting go, forgetting these pains, and not holding them and letting them hurt me and slice me each time I thought of them, because there's everything that I read to you, it gives me a little pit in my throat, and I don't want that anymore. I don't want to cry at those things because they're done, They've taught me a lot. And I'm not who that person was. I'm better for it. Although that's hard to say, but we go through stuff for reasons. And so I'm better for it. And I want to forget. And I'm going to work on forgiving. Most of it I can forgive. It's just when the patterns repeat. So if there's some people that luckily I don't have to deal with or see because it's too, that would be excruciating for me. Thank gosh. But there's some people that, I do want a relationship with and I do want to repair stuff. Some are going to take longer than others. There's stuff that comes up in therapy where it's like, okay, I'm going to get, on a better path with this person and I'm going to work on that relationship. And then I go to therapy and it's like, oh, I'm so angry about this, that, and the other, and so you take a step back, but it's okay. That's just what it is. And if everyone else is allowed to go through their journey and to do whatever they need to do to feel healthy, why can't I? Why can't I? And that's the biggest part that I want. I wish everyone could know because it's such a struggle for me to feel okay with doing what I need. Like, it really is a struggle. Like, I might do the thing. You might see me and I am doing it and I look so happy and everything's great. When you lie down to bed at night, it doesn't always look that pretty. You feel guilty or you're like, I don't know, a million different thoughts rolling in your head that make you feel shameful or selfish or what have you. And so really truly understanding that what you basically what you need is valid is so important, so you could just lay down at night and go, oh, I just would love, like last night was the first night I've had sleep in a long time. I went to bed at 8 and I didn't wake up until like 6. And that was glorious, to have a night's sleep. And there's just a lot that weighs on me. Just my choices and, not talking to certain people and all of that. It hurts. Like, it looks so easy, I'm sure, from the outside, but it's not easy. It's me trying to figure out how do I survive that next conversation. Wow, that tripped me out. I hadn't really thought about that, but it's literally, there's certain people that when I talk to them, I just cry for hours after I get off the phone, And so it's like, how do I survive the next interaction? It's hard stuff. And it's just like I said before, accountability and responsibility. Like, it's hard when other people are so set in their stories, and they won't acknowledge, like, that's literally, if there's just certain people, if they would just say, I respect your perspective and I allow for your story, that would go 10 million miles. Like, I would be finally, and I don't know. I think I would be better because it's just a feeling valid thing, feeling worthy, feeling like what I went through matters because everyone else has had such a, not easy go of it, but like accepted that that's what their story is. And, and then so that's what makes it like, well, am I seeing things different? Like, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with me. What I saw and what I felt and what is real to me is real to me. And that's what I've allowed for everyone else to have. Everyone else's reality I respect. And I'll never take it away from anybody. Ever. And that's just what I want, for myself. And that's the thing, is I don't need to search all the time outside myself. It needs to come from within and then let it go. Like, So anyways, that was kind of a ramble, but basically that's just what I wanted to do, was just to let go of these things. And I never got to the beach to bury it in the sand. I never got to put it in a bottle and put it out in the ocean. What I did with this paper is I burned it. And I just, as I watched it in the flames, I thought of this song, and I don't know, I have a lot of sinus stuff going on. I don't know if I should sing it, but it's a Martina McBride song, and it's Ashes, and it says, I'll just say it for you because I swear I can't sing right now, but it's: my right hand holds matches, my left holds my past. I hope the wind catches and burns it down fast. I mean, that's pretty much all you need to hear, but at the end of this, I was going to read the whole song. It's just such a good visual of, burning down the past, because I think the past can really hold you down if you're looking at it for anything other than wisdom. If you're holding on to those pains, it just keeps you stuck, and only you can figure that out for yourself. Like, I know I've had so many people tell me, just let it go, just whatever, but it's funny because the same people that say those things, they'll bring up stuff from the past a few years later, and you're like, hello. So we're all hypocrites. We all have stuff where it's just like, we would love to be the same as our words, we'd love our actions to be the same as our words. And that's what I'm striving for. And that's what we all strive for. And there's no shame in that. It's just, less judgment on people who, aren't where you're at, especially if you're older, wiser, if you've been through more. You got to let people go through it, and not be so angry that they're not just doing what you say, because it's like anything. You got to be the one to go there. And it has to come organically and also, authentically and wholeheartedly, because sometimes it is just words that the other person is saying too, because they haven't done it themselves. They just want you to be doing it, and it's like, well, have you done the work? Are you in therapy? And to each their own. If you're not, that's fine, but just, I don't know, it's just the relationships could be so much better if there's no expectations of what the other person needs to do. It's like, all I've ever wanted is to be listened to. And that's the thing that keeps coming up in therapy. It's quite sad. It's, I grew up in a household where I was kind of an outsider because I wasn't an athlete. But for 8 years of my life, before my brother, started playing basketball at 2 years old, there was a lot of symmetry. There was a lot of, I felt included in like everything until I was 8 years old, and then it slowly got taken away, and like life was crazy. There was other stuff, but, I didn't need all the attention ever, but I got none of it. You know what I mean? And, as it turns out, there's stories where people are trying to make sure and give me attention and all of that. But it's just what you feel. It's just, what you experience. And like, I went away a lot into my room and I did a lot of stuff by myself. And to be honest though, like, what if I hadn't done that? Who would I be? So I don't, my imagination, my love of arts and all of the music and movies and, drawing and writing stories and all that, where would that have come from if I wasn't trying to entertain myself, So it's another thing of like, gotta let all this stuff go because I love who I am in those aspects, in that respect. So, yeah. But it's funny because my brother and I are writing something together. And yeah, it was just crazy to read each other's and kind of go through our paths a little. And I didn't realize how much of an outsider I felt. And how much, like, I even joined the basketball team to try and get some attention, like, look, I can play basketball. And I hated it. I mean, yeah, it wasn't for me. I'm just not an athlete. Like, and so it's funny to go back and like, just realize that sometimes feeling like an outsider actually lets you have more compassion. And I shouldn't say more. It gives you a little bit more time is all to like pay attention to other people and to see through any cracks in the foundations or see through, there's a lot of observing time when you're, watching the game instead of playing in it. There's just so much more time to observe. And so you kind of learn humanity a little different. And we need everybody. Like, we need every single person to be their roles and to even everything out. We can't have everybody be like the star athlete. And we need the star athletes so much because there's so much that they learn and can teach us. And that's the thing is like, there's no better. There's like, we're all amazing and we all serve a purpose and we all had what we had so that we could get to where we are and make a difference. And so, yeah, I think I said something like turn your pain into purpose, and that's kind of what this is like, we all have pain. We all suffer. We all cry. It's been a hard time. It's been really hard because there's been a couple things where I've seen people I love just, kind of slowing down. My friend's dad, I hadn't seen him in a long time, and, he's having a rough go. He's having a lot of health issues, and to see him different than what I know him as was really hard, and that's just selfish, of course, but it was just a big wake-up call, And then my sweet grandmama, she's just a little bit reclusive, she won't go with us anywhere, and she's also, forgetful of little things. You just notice a little difference. She's healthy as heck and she still crochets but she's a little more irritable and, just different. It's just life is slowing down and it's just hard. It's just hard to get used to and like, I don't know. You want to let people be where they're at. Like I said, you want to let people do what they need. And so like, especially with grandma, it's like, she doesn't want to go anywhere with us anymore. And that's really hard on my mom. She won't stop asking her, and I'm just like, she doesn't want to go. I don't want to bother her, but I just put it on a calendar and she usually declines, but it's easier than like being in her face. Come on, go with us, go with us, go with us, So anyways, that's kind of off, but that's painful sometimes, to see people just change, and we're all growing. It's like the Bonnie Raitt song. It's like my parents see me change and it's kind of hard on them, and it's the same, back and forth. It's like you grow up and it's like, wow. Look back at the pictures and be like, wow, look at all the stuff. Like, honestly, I feel like I've lived like 4 lifetimes. Like when I go back and look, it's like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. So many things that we've done. And I'm so grateful. And I think that's the perfect place to end on, is the theme of gratefulness. I was looking at the sunset last night and I was feeling ungrateful because, I have all these stresses and all these worries about so many different things. Work, Christmas always makes me stressed out. What are we going to get the kiddos? Just so many things. And how are we going to, come together with my mom? And then, if I don't go other places, I'm going to feel guilty. But it's also like just a mind maze of stuff, And it was just getting to me, and I went outside on the walk and I was just struck. I was just stopped in my tracks by this beautiful sunset. And then as I came home, there was an amazing moonscape going on with the clouds and stuff. It was nuts. I'm actually going to write a poem about it, which will be posted shortly on Simple Girl Inspired and Instagram and Facebook. But I'll go ahead and post it for you on a Heavy Boots Instagram page too when I finish it. Because basically it was just one of those things where you're just like, what am I worried about? Like, what the heck is wrong with you, Jenny? Like, that's what I was thinking in my head. And then I had to do my therapy voice and be like, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just realizing you need to be more grateful. And it's the simple things, the littlest things that mean so much. And like the sunset, the moon, being able to feed these stray cats and just sit with them for a minute, to walk Percy and take photographs of him because he's so darn cute. Yeah, there's just so much else that I could be focused on. And I'm human. We're all human. And so our hearts get tugged, man. Memories and, we have invisible strings like Taylor Swift sings that just tie us to things, That was just a 3-rhymer, huh? Invisible strings, like she sings, that tie us to things. But it's true. It's just these little strings that, like, sometimes I wish I could cut. And there's certain things that if it hurts more than it helps, you should cut the string, And that's what my goal is with this, is like, if it hurts more than it helps, you don't need it anymore. You learn the lesson and let it go, because the stuff that helps is what you need to grow your garden, A much more healthy life exists when you let go of those awful things that happen to yourself, And we all got them. Different, variations. And that's another thing too, is don't compare your struggles with anyone else's, because somebody always has it worse. And, then you can start to think, well, gosh, I should just be grateful. And it's like, no, you're allowed to feel bad about what you went through, but you also got to, figure out a way to keep going. And so, yeah, don't compare. Everybody has stuff. And we just got to keep one foot in front of the other. Keep on going. But that's why I love Thanksgiving, because all that you do is you eat. Yeah, there's my real true self coming out. No, but you just get to make a recipe or two and share it. And then you get to also be super grateful and express that gratitude. And that's it. Like, there's not any other stresses, like maybe where to go. Like, that was a little stressful this year, but we made our choice. And then you just own it, and you're sad you can't be with certain people, but then we actually were able to go and see one of them on our way on a different trip, like you just make things work out so that you get the interactions that you were hoping for, even if it's not going to work, to get everywhere, because you can't. It's so hard. life is hard, but it's so good. And that's my gratitude. I have such gratitude for being where I am right now, being able to podcast like this. I had therapy this morning and being able to have that. Having a job that gives me purpose. Having energy to, feed the strays, go on some walks. Nothing is perfect, but life is good. To be alive is good. And I thought at one point I wasn't going to be alive. A lot of this stuff, and I just realized I didn't really put anything in my little list there about, what has happened the last couple years, which I think because I've been in so much therapy addressing those two things, the shooting and the car accident, I don't think of them the same way because I've already kind of processed all that. Like a lot of what I was writing about was when I was young or younger, and it was really, really hard to go back retroactively, and like process all that after it's fresh because you're already mad, you've already hurt, you're already, so because of the therapy during all the traumatic moments that are more recent, like those are processed more. They don't linger. They don't hurt. The only thing that comes up a lot is the sounds. If there's a gunshot kind of sound out there, which there's so many weird sounds, it freaks me out and I have panic attacks a lot. But it's getting better. It's getting better. And so that's the thing is like those two things kind of were like so back to back. And I just didn't have any, I felt so helpless. Like my brain was just trying to, get the better of me. And so I didn't want to be on the earth. I didn't want to be here. There's times I went to the cabinet to get pills and I'm so grateful I didn't do that. I always thought of the people that would be, hurt by that, and like luckily that was what I had because I didn't go so far dark that I didn't think of those people. And like suicide is nothing, I know there's a lot of thoughts on it. I don't want to get too dicey, but like how hard that is. Like I don't think it's an escape. Personally, I don't think it's a weak thing. I don't think it's a strong thing. It's just a bad thing. It is still a bad thing, but it's just it's not an easy thing. It's not like someone just goes, "Oh, I'm just," nobody knows where we go definitively when we die. And yeah, it's just a huge thing. And so to even have thought about it is a little shameful for me. And, I work on that. But the whole point is getting back to how grateful I am to see a sunset like I did last night. And maybe that's enough. It is enough. The littlest things have kept me here. And when the big things should have, but they couldn't. Like, I always feel so bad because, like, Paul is, like, my best friend and such a sweet person and so caring and talks to me about so many things. And he's right here in my life. And he couldn't even get me out of that state. You know what I mean? And, like, my mom or my brother or, it's just like sometimes no matter how lovely the things people say, it just, for whatever reason, doesn't stick. It's like, I'm working on that because I still, when people tell me compliments, it's hard. But like I said with my friend the other day, I came home on cloud 9, and so that penetrated, that got me, that hit me. And so it's just about surrounding yourself with that good energy, as often as possible. And not being ashamed for your boundaries. And like, that's the thing that always trips me out, is when people do things to you that they would never let you do to them. Let that sink in. When they, do things that, they would never let you do at their house, or, it's just like, how is it okay for you to just do whatever you want, and then I would not be allowed the same thing, And it's not even that. You don't want to do what they would do. It's not like tit for tat, but it's just like, it's just that acknowledgement that, like, you have boundaries and they're not acknowledging them. Like, that is just crazy. Like, the word no from you means nothing. The word no from them is gold, So just to be aware of that, and like, sometimes it sucks, because then you have to separate yourself, especially when you've tried and tried and tried, and then what are you gonna, it's just, and so I have something similar, and it's hard, because then you feel like you have to avoid, because the words don't get listened to. So what other option do you have? It's just hard. And, yeah. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I mean, I'm just trying to end on the note of be good to yourself. Know that you're worth it. Know that your boundaries matter. Whatever you need is okay. Like, totally okay. And if you can let go of some of the past, it's freeing. It like really did free up some space. It's been super busy since then, which I think is good. I didn't have a lot of time to wallow in it, and like, I don't know, but there's been a lot of tears. Like, there's been a lot of stuff that comes after letting go, and you kind of realize why some stuff is currently going on. That invisible string, it attaches to something, a pattern or something that really, was from a long time ago. And so it's been good to figure some of that out, and it's been awesome to move forward and to, just let this go. Just let it go. But, yeah. So I think I'm going to read you the rest of that song, because it's so powerful. And it's funny, because once I made the title for this episode, Set Fire to the Pain, I was thinking of Adele, Set Fire to the Rain, or whatever. And that's not why. It's so funny. I thought, oh my gosh, people are going to think I did it for her. But the song that inspired it is this one called Ashes by Martina McBride. My right hand holds matches, my left holds my past. I hope the wind catches and burns it down fast. I'm gonna step into the fire with my failures and my shame, and wave goodbye to yesterday as I dance among the flames. So don't try to save me now. Let the walls of my world all burn down. Just stand back and wait till the smoke finally passes, and I will rise from the ashes, from the ashes, from the ashes. For all that I'm losing, much more will I gain. The hard part is choosing to change what needs changed. My step will be much lighter with these demons off my chest. I'm born a better spirit as I lay the old to rest. So don't try to save me now. Let the walls of my world all burn down. Just stand back and wait till the smoke finally passes, and I will rise from the ashes. And I'll walk away stronger. I will be flying higher and truer than I've flown before. My right hand holds matches. My left holds my past. I hope the wind catches and burns it down fast. Isn't that cool? It's like a phoenix, rising from the ashes. Like, how awesome. Anyways, that's what I'll leave with you, is to find a way to always, rise from the ashes. And the first step to that is to figure out what needs to be burned. So I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. I'm sorry if I put a damper on it with this podcast. This was a little heavy, but I love you and I wish you the best holiday season ever. May you have boundaries. Think of yourself. Love yourself. And also be sure to tell people what you need. Sometimes we think they know. They don't always know. You matter. You're worthy. You deserve everything. Stay you. Love you. This podcast was written and recorded by Jenny Camille. The song you hear at the beginning and the end of this podcast is called Something Borrowed by Revell. Are you still here? Well, hi. Thanks for hanging out. So I wrote a children's story a few weeks ago, and initially it was just going to be a poem, and I started writing it on Instagram, and then it told me that I had too many characters that I couldn't write anymore. So I had to take it off of Instagram and put it into a Word document, and it's a whole story. So I thought I'd share it with you first before anybody else, because it's an autumn story, and since autumn is almost gone, I have a very short window to get this out. It's called Baby Oak. I am not ready to fall, to change color and to leave. From this height, look what I can see. I'm not ready to become small, small enough for the animals to eat. Up here, I will just stay me. But what if I told you you could become the whole tree? What if falling's not all you can do? What if there was something greater to be? Would you entertain the notion that you could be more than just a drop in the ocean? I'm listening with full attention, but it will take a lot. Did I happen to mention how much I love this spot? You could sit even taller and watch the acorns fall. You wouldn't feel smaller. Your roots would dig in and branches would reach tall. Are you saying I could become my own oak? A tree like the one I'm grasping tight to? Is this some kind of practical joke? Why does any of this matter to you? My name is Mother Nature. I urge you to let go. Autumn is about to mature, and you need to be ready when the wind blows. Nice to meet you, ma'am. I've sat here every day. What you don't seem to understand is how many animals come this way. They've eaten others who were just like me. None of them got to be a tree. Dear little acorn of oak, I understand your hesitancy. I don't deal in lies or jokes. And you know who ends up in a tree? There's no sure way to know, technically. But you have a certain special glow. If you never fall, you'll never know. The wind blew through, and he held tight, until one day he just knew he'd be all right. If he didn't drop before he turned brown, his fate was sealed either way, so he let out a whee as he fell to the ground. Mother Nature saw to it that he was safe. You lied to me, Mother Nature. I cannot see the sunset over the horizon. Down here I'm still in danger. That someone will step on me and leave me dying. You would have been eaten by now, sweet baby oak. Nothing I told you was false. Yes, a deer might come and give you a friendly poke. It's up to you to stay alive and brush things off. As the baby oak looked around at the nearby trees, he saw something remarkable. Every branch limb was pointed differently. Every tree had to become adjustable. Survival is growing in spite of your surroundings, embracing the elements no matter what. From that moment on, baby oak's growth was astounding. So much harder to grow when your mind is shut. I hope you enjoyed that little children's story, little parable. I just was watching the acorn that's still on the tree. There's still green acorns on the tree, and usually they're all gone by now. But it's been a weird weather time, and we haven't had a lot of cold or rain, and so there's a lot more growth. And I just came up with that. Just sometimes you have to let go, and just have faith. Let go.